Hi, I'm Dana Gould, and I'm here to talk about our comedy short, Hanging with Dr. Z. I play Dr. Z, the aforementioned, and wrote and created the show with my collaborators, Rob Cohen and Pete Aronson. The inspiration for the piece goes back a long way. I'm a comedian and a comedy writer by trade, but my passion in life, as you can tell from my nerd shelf behind me, has always been horror movies and science fiction movies. That's always been the stuff that I indulge in my free time. And especially love Planet of the Apes. And several years ago, because I have friends in the makeup side of the business, I did a bit at a sketch fest in San Francisco. It was an idea that I had a long time. It was Dr. Zayas performing Mark Twain Tonight. That's on YouTube. And over the years, I would do other appearances as Dr. Zayas. And he evolved into this sort of raconteur, this sort of showbiz raconteur, sort of an old school Hollywood star, like the people you would see on talk shows a lot when I was a kid in the 70s and 80s. Like Sammy Davis Jr. and Peter Lawford and these guys that, they only knew famous people. It was always a name drop of, I just bought a motorbike from Sean Connery. What a guy, stuff like that. And it was Rob Cohen who actually had the idea of making Dr. Z the host of a talk show, like those daytime talk shows that we watched as kids, like Mike Douglas and Merv Griffin, or Dick Cavett specifically. And that was the origin. That was the origin, or the origin. That was the origin of the post, or the origin of the piece. You pick. And the other thing I will say about Hanging with Dr. Z is it is one of the most purely collaborative efforts that I've ever done. I worked on The Simpsons for a long time, and that is also, much greater than the sum of its parts. And I would say the same thing about Dr. Z. Mike Upchurch, who did all of the digital compositing, because we shot it on green screen. That set is digital, and that's all Mike Upchurch. As important a contribution to the show as mine, or anyone else's. Chris Shapan, who wrote and created the products that we do advertisements for. Rob and Pete and Blaine and Candace and the other writers. Everyone contributed something that was absolutely invaluable to the show, and that's it's a great experience to work with that many talented people. I know it sounds like a cliche, but it really is true. Especially for somebody that also works as a stand-up comedian when you're alone all the time. It's really great to work with a big team, and this show absolutely is a collaboration. No one person could do it. What about Hanging with Dr. Z am I the most proud of? I think it's that it was something that came completely out of a passion. Being a fan of these films, I am, and Rob and Pete are. I started doing the character just because I love doing it, and I never had any aspirations to do anything with it outside of just doing weird shows and doing weird shows and having people enjoy it at the time. And the fact that it grew into something other than that and greater than that is very gratifying and very satisfying. There's no reason for this to exist other than we really love doing it, and we wouldn't have thought of it if it wasn't something that we took a lot of pleasure in. This is not a cynical money-making gesture, and there are no superheroes in it. So I think that has to be it. It was literally a labor of love, put it that way. In terms of things that I have coming up in the future, We just started production. That's that word, production. We just started production on season 2 of Hanging with Dr. Z, so we're making more of them. I'm back in that makeup. And I have a film coming out that is streaming October 29th on iTunes and all major platforms called Joyride, which is a performance film documentary hybrid of Bobcat Goldthwait and myself. We traveled together and performed together, and not only recorded the shows, but also our conversations as we traveled. And then because we had time during COVID, Bob went back and archived a lot of old footage of our past and our careers. And so it's sort of a hybrid. It's a docu-comedy that shows us on stage, and then behind the scenes, it doesn't so much show you how we became comedians, but it definitely shows you why we became comedians. I've never really seen anything quite like the piece. Bob directed it, and it's called Joyride, and it's streaming October 29th. I'm really proud of it. Thank you.